So today there has been a landmark verdict delivered by the Supreme Court, and you have just won this case. So in a few words, can you just tell everyone what is this judgment?
So the judgment that is delivered by Supreme Court today is it is essentially granting a permanent commission to women army officers um, with equal opportunities for grant of permanent commission as also further career advancement.
How is this going to change, kind of like, what does this mean for the country? Because it's for women officers specifically, but this judgment is also about women, and it's about the future of this country. And so, what are the changes that we are seeing now?
So, Surya, I strongly believe that this is not a watershed moment just for women officers of the army. I think this is a watershed moment for women across the world. See, Supreme Court has rightly noted it that women in army has been a process of evolution. Women were first inducted in the Indian Army in 1992, where they were taken in on an experimental basis, first for 5 years, then it was extended for another 5 years, extended to another 4 years, 14 years. 2008 was another milestone when they decided to grant permanent commission to women in two streams. One was education and the second was Judge Advocate General branch. However, women short service commission officers were not given parity for permanent commission in the other streams. That is what led to the judgment of the Delhi High Court of 12th March 2010, when Delhi High Court specifically affirmed that a permanent commission for women officers at parity in the branches that they are being taken. So Delhi High Court said that we are not going to pass any direction with regard to including women in streams where they were not included, essentially the combat arms, but where they were in, if they were serving as short service commissioned officers, they were entitled to get permanent commission. Now that policy, finally the litigation came to Supreme Court. The union's appeals were pending for almost a decade here. February 2019 was when the union government issued a policy notification which allowed grant of permanent commission even in those 8 arms. So all the arms, all 10 arms where women were there were covered. However, that notification itself became a sort of bone of contention on a few points, where our contention was that it perpetrated discrimination qua women when it excluded the women officers who were serving and who had put in more than 14 years of service, which meant that the women who were at the forefront of this battle would have been denied any opportunity of permanent commission. So prospectivity was one problem. The second very important problem was that confining women officers who would have gotten permanent commission to staff appointments only. Now staff appointments, as opposed to criteria appointments and command appointments, that would have rendered women officers almost like second grade citizens in the army. Command appointments and criteria appointments are important leadership positions, leadership roles at unit level and above, and they are extremely important for promotional prospects, for leadership roles, positions, for the progress of women further. So it was like saying, okay, we are going to let you be, but you just be confined to the staff appointments, and you don't ask for better roles. So that also Supreme Court has completely struck down. I think what is most important for us is the way the Supreme Court has completely junked the justification, the purported reasons that were given for denying this to women. That has been completely diminished and demolished by the Supreme Court, saying that this is contrary to the constitutional guarantees that are available to all Indian citizens, including women. And
So can we go through one of like some of those reasonings that were submitted by the center? So they had said certain things like that the men would not be okay with the women being in these roles, and yeah. So could you just go through those ones?
Yes, that that became a bone of contention. It was really we our submission was that those were farcical points that were being raised. Those were actually boogies, because it was not like we didn't have statistics. Now women had been performing these roles for 27, 28 years, and we gave examples of women who had been there, who had displayed exemplary courage in the line of fire. Women who had been granted gallantry awards, which are gallantry awards are not peacetime awards. Gallantry awards are awards which are given in the face of enemy fire, in the face of, for example, Colonel Mithali Madhumita. She was the first woman officer to be granted a gallantry award for saving more than 19 lives in the face of a Fedayeen attack in Kabul at Indian Embassy. Or squadron leader Minty Agarwal for the extremely exemplary role that she played in the Balakot strike as a flight controller. So she was responsible for, for directing and controlling the flights of Wing Commander Abhinandan and others who were in the dogfight. Then the changing face of combat today. Indian Air Force is taking women officers in the as fighter pilots, also training them for combat. So all that is happening, and Army continues to to have this regressive. I think the issue was really of mindset. The court also saw it. When it comes to women issues, it is the mindset that is the biggest problem. Nobody is saying that give it to all women whether they deserve it or not. Women have to, of course, if they want to be soldiers, then they have to prove themselves. But you can't say that their biological needs are different, their domestic responsibilities are different, their physical standards are different. Though in today's date and time, where women have proven themselves as exemplary soldiers for the last 28 years, to deny them these roles would have been completely farcical, which has been struck down by Supreme
Yeah,
Court.
and it's the same conversation about opportunity, right? It's about like give us the opportunity to prove that we can do it, not just like say that everyone can do it or everyone has to do it, but simply to have that opportunity. And that is what this judgment is now providing.
Yes. So it's not the judgment quotes by saying that the command appointments are not automatic even for gentlemen officers. There will be exemplary, meritorious, average, below average men and women all in the society for different roles. So it's not like your skills and my skills would be exactly same. You have some skills which are extraordinary and I have some which would be. It has to be individual yardsticks. What this policy was seeking to do was to have a blanket denial for women in command and criteria appointments. Interestingly, some of the journeys of women have been in combat roles and command positions in at least 22 countries across the world. And interestingly, if you go through their journeys and those legal roadblocks and milestones or speed breakers that they went through, it was a similar problem of mindset. It was the same thing, that you heard, taking command from a woman, from the American perspective, taking command from a woman, oh, heaven forbid. So it's the same kind of mindset issues that women have faced and dealt with. And I think this is a very, very significant. That's why I said it's not the journey of just women officers of the Indian Army. Many of us lawyers, we sort of got we associated with this journey like it was a part of our journey itself. Somewhere the journey of women for equality, for dignity, becomes a journey of not just every woman, but everyone who is sensitive and wants to fight the patriarchy.
Right, yeah. And so even though as this judgment comes, it feels like, watershed moment, like it also at the same time feels like, why did it take so long? So how does it feel like for you as a person, like to win this right now?
I am elated. I'm exhilarated. Frankly, it's an honor for me to be really part of this journey, and I it has been a huge learning experience, and it feels like I have. It has been a personal gain and personal victory for me.
Can you are there like particular moments in the courtroom which really stand out for you or are memorable?
Well, you know how court processes are. It tests all litigants in very excruciating ways sometimes. So it was almost a decade that women officers waited here. There were ups and downs. They kept on saying that they were coming up with a policy. They will come up with equitable policies, and but the court gave them a indication in December that we are giving you one last opportunity. If you want to come up with an equitable policy, you come up with it, otherwise you don't get the credit, then we will pass the judgment. So it has been a very interesting journey from the beginning, but it has these serving women officers, there's an embargo on them from speaking out. They of course can exercise constitutional remedies, but they can't express their views, they can't form associations, they can't speak to media, etc., can't speak their mind out. So these women displayed exemplary courage, exemplary discipline, the manner in which they conducted themselves. They're very, very inspiring women. It was an honor to represent them.
Yeah, so what can you tell us about, like as you've said, they're not really allowed to speak to the media right now. So what can you tell us about some of these women who have been in this fight with you?
Um, so there are women officers who have. So we gave examples of that. In fact, it forms part of the judgment, because while they were saying that command roles should not be given, command is not just at the unit level and higher levels. The commands are there even at subunit levels. So we brought statistics before the court to show that how women had been performing platoon commanders role, company commanders role, and all these were boogies because there had never been a case of insubordination that was that
Right.
was there by men because of their rural background, etc., or the grounds that were sought to be raised. Even otherwise, army is a very, Indian army is amongst one of the most professional armies in the world.
Mm.
It commands a respect, which is unparalleled, and out there, as one of the best armies. So it was important for Indian army also to shed one more shell and become more inclusive, become more sensitive to the dignity and equality of women who have been assets for the army. See, the argument of the army or Union of India was not that, sorry, the experiment failed and we don't want women anymore.
Mm.
The answer was that no, women have performed very well, and therefore we want to extend permanent commission to them. And then to come up with these arguments to deny them command roles flew in the face of it, and the court completely set it aside.
Right. So one more step towards equality, and thank you so much for fighting this fight for, I mean, every woman in India and every woman in the world. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your
Thank
time.
you. It was a privilege for me to be part of this journey. Thank you.